ready?
Got open man. DJ Moore. End zone. Touchdown. Touchdown Bears.
I am Jeff Joniak.
Blitz is on. Down he goes. Brisker.
What was it like playing for Coach Ditka?
I don't want to answer any questions like that.
Pressure coming. He's in big trouble. Down he goes. Montez Sweat.
And now, Bears Etc. brought to you by Miller Lite with the voices of the Bears, Jeff Joniak and Tom Thayer.
Inching closer to another shared practice from the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills, title contenders once again. They'll be in after the Miami Dolphins exit. We'll still break down what happened in that Miami game and the practice with the Bills, the preview with my good buddy, Super Bowl winning Bears guard Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak. Episode 160 of the Bears Etc. podcast. We're brought to you by Miller Lite. Thanks to Katie Fox, our producer, for helping us out as well. We are guest-free today, but want to replay some of the podium sound from Wednesday. Tommy, some good stuff. We learned a lot after the day off. First and foremost, at practice, the shuffle on the offensive line a little bit. Braxton Jones and Theo Benedette, the undrafted rookie a year ago, rotating with the first team at left tackle. Ozzie Trapillo spending practice at the second team right tackle. And earlier in the day, the offensive and defensive assistant spoke to the media. And Tommy, we'll hear some of that from Dan Roushar, the offensive line coach, indicated at that time, that was before practice, that, you know, we'd like to get some right tackle reps for Trapillo, and it just hasn't been optimal to do it. There's a lot to unpack there. I'll let the man who knows offensive line play tell me what you think.
Well, you know, I think you got to get everybody reps, and that includes Bill Murray and Karan Amagaji, who are back at practice. And so I think when you're looking at where those guys fit and where do they need reps, maybe that gives them the opportunity to give some reps over on the right-hand side to Ozzie Trapillo. That's where he's played more football, and maybe in his professional career, that's where he'll play most of his football. That's yet to be seen. However, I like the versatility that they're developing in Ozzie Trapillo in case they have to put him in at right tackle or left tackle during the course of the season. So I like the way the coaches are thinking now in terms of game day responsibilities, and maybe that is Ozzie Trapillo at the swing tackle. And then they've had more reps with Ryan Bates at the center position, because I think when you look at Ryan Bates, he's a three-position player, right guard, left guard, and center. So I think that gives a variety of choices for game day activations on the offensive line. There's a couple of other guys that are still fighting in there. No Luke Newman at practice today, but you get a couple guys that return to the lineup, so let the fight continue to battle.
I keep thinking of this too. You know, hard to believe, but eight days from when we're taping this podcast from now, you know, you're past Kansas City. You've done your 3 preseason games. It's time. It's go time. It's time to get ready for the Minnesota Vikings. So you're starting to squeeze the grapes and get the juice out on that offensive line. Do you get a sense that roles are starting to be filled, like you just touched on, all those different players?
I do think that is the way that they're thinking, but I think what I would want to do is continue to put the players in the most difficult position possible leading up to the regular season to make sure that I'm making the right choice to who is going to be here and who is developing into that second and third row that I need to if they are going to be a backup. So I think Dan Roushar is doing a really nice job of moving guys in and out of the lineup to different spots. But I think when you look at a guy like Karan Amagaji, he needs a lot of reps in between now and the end of the Kansas City game. And hopefully he gets them either against Buffalo or in the Kansas City game, and to show us where he's at physically and mentally.
All right, let's listen in to head coach Ben Johnson. He spoke on Wednesday, got into a bunch of things, but specifically Caleb Williams, whom he meets with on days off to go over things, see how things are going, and then implementing the new stuff for the week. Here's Ben Johnson on what will look like against the Buffalo Bills on Sunday night at Soldier Field.
I've been pretty consistent with the thought of reps are the most important thing to get him up to speed. By the plan that we had a week ago, we were able to get him probably somewhere between 80 and 100 more reps than we would have been able to do had he played in the game. Our plan right now is the guys that sat out last week, they will be playing this week.
The most difficult job in the NFL is a first-year quarterback in a new system. I know Caleb's not the first year, so don't jump on me for that. I'm saying he's the first year in this system. Ben Johnson is a first-year head coach. He's put together a staff that's doing a great job of teaching and developing this talent. And so one of the common phrases is, all the interviews we listen to, whether it's Ben, whether it's Antwaan Randle, Dan Roushar, the one key word that's been repeated by all these guys is reps. And Ben said reps, reps, reps. Every one of these guys used reps in their answer, no matter what the question was. And I still think that's the same for Caleb. He's still probably 1,000 reps in between now and before the Minnesota game. And that's just the tip of an iceberg of enough. So Ben Johnson knows how many reps a young quarterback needs in a difficult system. And so he's not taking his foot off the gas. He's just, continuous this process of trying to get Caleb as many reps as he can. And he talked about getting him 80 or 100 extra reps and not playing in the game rather than playing in the game and reducing the amount of important reps he needs.
Kick off your game day with Blue Moon. Every sip of Blue Moon's Belgian-style wheat ale crafted with Valencia orange peel and coriander is a winning drive for your taste buds. All right, Dan Roushar. I gave him a pat on the back. I gave him an attaboy. I go, boy, when you break down offensive line, and he's very thorough, and he's quite transparent about what's going on. And, it's the truth, and it takes a lot. And the dependability of a guy like Joe Thuney also is the truth. And Joe Thuney helping out the unit. Here's part one of Dan Roushar.
He's the same guy every day. How he walks in, how he does his job. There's a consistency over and over and over. And there's something about the player that does it over and over and over consistently like he does that you have so much trust in, and it builds around the group.
Ben seems to really appreciate the chess match that comes with calling a game, but even with practice, what have you noticed just about his intensity behind dialing up plays and putting guys through it?
It's impressive. He's got great detail to exactly his vision with all 11 and to include the defense. He's looking at the whole picture. It's got a wide vision to it. I think he knows the offense inside and out as well as anybody. He knows exactly what we're doing when we do it well and when we don't do it well. That's gratifying as an offensive line coach because you get feedback immediately, either at the snap or after practice when you look at to get better as a group. So he's impressive, and quite frankly, you have no idea what he's going to call. You're just listening. You're locked into what you hear, and then you're going to see how we execute what's been called.
Was there a moment in practice or, when you see, okay, this guy's really serious about the details, something that stands out to you that you saw from the last 4 weeks, I guess?
I would say that it was probably the very first time I encountered him and met him. You can sense all of that. He's wired correctly. He's a really good communicator. He has a great vision. And when that's done precisely like he does, we're all on the same page. And I think that's how you improve. You move forward. There's no gray. It's here's the job. Here's the details in the job. Let's go execute the job.
What was it like for the entire offensive staff to learn the playbook, decide what goes in it?
Very thorough from the very beginning. We watched a lot of what Detroit had done. We watched concepts that were similar to from other teams. I think we were all on the same page. However these things get termed, called, described, once you get to that point, then you're really applying your experiences and how we hit a combination block or how we hit a single, a double, whatever those things might be. And so I found it to be really enlightening for all of us as a staff because we were all listening to the details. How's the receiver going to block the force pattern? How's the line going to communicate and then go, whether that be protection or run? You just get all these things at you that it's very black and white.
It's the constant effort to do certain things the right way. And it could be walking into the locker room or walking out to the practice field, when you do, how you do it, how you talk, how you lead. Joe Thuney's going to be as important as anybody on this football team for that offensive line, but so many other reasons. It's good to have a guy like that on the roster, Tommy.
Yeah, it is. One thing, Jeff, about Joe Thuney and all the starters that are going to play this week, Ben Johnson's going to learn something a little bit different about this team that he doesn't know from week one. Because when you show up in the locker room and you're going to put on your uniform for real, and you're going to go out there and you're going to get reps, an uncertain amount of reps, it kind of it has you at a different approach walking into that locker room than you did that first game knowing you're not going to play. So Dan talks about Joe Thuney being level-headed all the time, and he doesn't have ups and downs, but I see that in his game. He is one of the best technician, offensive linemen, offensive guards that I've seen in a long time. And I always try to find fault in his game, and I've yet to find it. And so I really appreciate that about him, because if I know any position, I know offensive guard. And so when I watch Joe Thuney, I'm as impressed seeing him in person as impressed as other people around the league that told me what a professional he is. So I'm excited that Dan Roushar has a guy like that aboard, but I think you can be that silent assassin. You don't have to go out there and lose your head all the time. You just go out there and lead by example.
Part 2 of Dan Roushar.
I would say our get-offs are really average right now as a group. There's the breadth of the cadence and us all together, and right now, when you really detail it and watch it, you're seeing guys that are late. And if you're late, you're behind a block, you're in a poor position to execute your job.
As the O-line coach, how do you, because obviously some of that falls on the quarterback, but when you guys are trying to figure that out as a unit, like how much responsibility are you guys taking?
Well, listen, all of us are in on this, all right? So there's a rhythm of it, there's an anticipation of it, there's clarity to it. And when it's right, you like it. And when it's not, you're like, well, that doesn't look like what we're looking for. And so every day you coach it.
That actionary reactionary kind of split, how do you make it more actionary?
I think you go back to fundamental work. And let's just say, for example, you have help in a protection. You've got something coming to you. Your set pattern would be such that we want to try to get more middle on the defender. You have to get to the spot. You have to settle your feet at the spot. When we're short and drifting, now you're not in a position to get your feet in the ground and strike, and then you become very reactionary. I start worrying about what this guy's doing instead of committing to exactly what I have to do.
So it's just movements based on certain protections?
Protection runs are all tied together.
Is it a reps thing? Do you think with more time?
It's repetition. It's commitment to the fundamental. It's belief in what they're doing. It's not thinking about what that guy might do. It's simply thinking about, I'm committed to doing what I'm supposed to do to the best of my ability.
Where's Darnell at right now?
Darnell's had some really, really good moments. A little bit too inconsistent. There's moments where, as we look at him, when he loses focus or fatigue starts to set in, we see a decline in play. But when he's on point, I've seen Darnell do some things that you get excited about. He's just not been able to stack it play after play after play, which isn't uncommon for a young player. But right now, I feel like there's been moments where I've seen this growth. Is it as fast as I want it to be, or he wants it to be? No. My job is to inspire, to get him there, to understand exactly what we're doing, and to challenge him when it's not right, which we do.
Last one for me. Is Joe a speak-up guy?
Joe is not a speak-up guy per se. Joe is – the group is very close. I think his message is always internal with our group. I don't know that it permeates throughout. He's an action-driven guy. And so, therefore, really what you're looking for from the leadership role from him is how he does it, how he finishes a play, how he strains through a block, how he protects the quarterback, how he covers or how he moves to the ball advancing. Those are the things we're looking for from him. For him to be out of character, I have not seen anything but just consistency from him, Jeff.
I could listen to him all day, Tom. All day. Talking very specific about technique, what he's looking for, including everybody in the offense, but just coming off that line of scrimmage as the cadence is a big part of that too, right, Tom?
The cadence is the most important part of the success of every offensive play because everybody's got to be on the exact same second. This is not something where the right side of the offensive line can get off on the snap count and the left side can be an eighth of a second hesitant. No, that screws up the whole blocking scheme. And that's one of the true weapons the offensive line has is the rhythm of the cadence. And it's another thing working with cadence Caleb is they need to hear Caleb's cadence maybe another 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 times to have the predictability in the sound of his voice, in the rhythm. When you're an offensive line and you're lucky enough to be with the same quarterback for a number of years, you can almost know what the cadence is by listening to the way he's saying it. And so that's a luxury that Dan Roushar realizes the importance of it. But if you ever talk to any offensive lineman in the history of the NFL, they'll tell you the importance of the cadence.
Tell you another important thing, because players now, as we get closer to the season, reps are going to be valuable. They're going to be at a premium. And I heard this, I believe, on Sirius XM NFL Radio, one of their training camp tours, or it might have been on NFL Network. Don't count your reps. Make your reps count. Because, you know, some of these guys are going to get a handful of meaningful reps as we inch forward. So I love that. Don't count your reps. Make your reps count, including snaps in a game. So if you're one of these guys that are going to be part of a rotation, either side of the ball, with one ball and many weapons on the offside of the ball, or what you're going to get as a defensive line, or how many reps you might get at strong side linebacker for that position that's continuing to be a battle. It may be 20 reps, but don't count your reps. Make your reps count.
Listen, I've talked about this ad nauseum, and that is my example. In my first year as a rookie, I did not play until the second half of the last preseason game, and I didn't have any reps. Then finally I got a second half handful worthy of reps, and I do think I made them count to at least impress the staff enough where I deserved to earn a spot on this team. So I agree with that, and that should be a poster in every single locker room. I like the way you said it. I like you brought it up, and it's probably something that's going to stay with me for the remainder of my football thoughts.
So Luther Burden III, perfect example. Second round pick, missed some time though. When you think about it, it's weeks, almost months of time because of injury. So I know he'd like to be out there as much as possible, like to get the ball. He made a terrific play today.
Yep.
Smooth. I was on the sideline with Ryan Poles, and he came back, big smile on his face. I go, man, that's smooth. He goes, super smooth. And I said the hands are soft, easy to catch the ball. Everything looks easy in that regard.
Tyson Bagent put in a very catchable position, and that's the key ingredient there, is put it in a position to allow these playmakers to be playmakers.
And the reason I bring it up is because everybody's earning trust.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson talked about earning trust with his quarterback, his players, and that it's not there yet, but vice versa. Like, we're still getting to know each other. And we all assume everybody's just one big happy family sitting around shooting the breeze and getting to know each other. No, this is a job. It's the business of winning. And it is a business. It is a job every day. It doesn't mean you can't get time together and share a cup of coffee in the lunchroom. But Antwaan Randle, visiting with reporters, also talked about that from a quarterback receiver perspective, and that Antwaan says that Burden is trying to and making strides to earn trust with the quarterback, and trust is very valuable. Here's Antwaan Randle.
Like, you got to get those reps from the quarterback so the quarterback sees it and knows it and trusts that you're going to come out the route, or you're going to make sure you get the blocks that you need to do. So at some point you will, but right now the gate's open, and we're going to continue to just work at it over and over again. That's what he's doing, meeting early, meeting late, and make sure he gets it down.
When's that moment of trust click for a quarterback and a receiver, since you've been one on both sides?
When does it?
When is that? When do you know it?
Well, I'll be honest with you, it depends on – sometimes it depends on the amount of reps you get, and sometimes cats just get it right away. Like, that's my guy. I know where he's – I can trust him right away. And that's how it is early on. It wasn't like that for me when I played. It took me a little while to be able to get that trust, but once you get it, you locked in and you're ready to go. Because that's what you have to have, the trust of the quarterback. Quarterback wants to know you're going to be where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, and that way, it's for him, because everything happens so fast. There's no indecision for him. He can just play.
Do you remember your moment? Yeah. And with who?
Yeah, Tommy Maddox. He got sacked because I had a hot route, and I ran the regular route, and he got sacked, and that was oh my goodness, I don't trust you no more. So it took me a couple of more practices, and when we did get it, it was like, man, it was sweet. But you just can't, you can't fool your quarterback. You don't want to do that.
Ben has talked about Rome being the prototypical X receiver.
Yeah.
I know we talk a lot about like number one receiver in an offense, all of those things. Like, how does he fit a even bigger role for him in year 2?
I think it's a bigger role in our offense. Can't really speak to last year, but just with him, who he is, and the body type for X, yes. And like Coach was saying, but this is a cat. He can run routes, so he can be at the Z, he can be at the X. He won't be the one early on we put in the backfield type deal, but he can run routes and he understands the offense. So as you understand the offense, like we can put you in different spots. So no question, prototypical X, but he's a guy that you can move around, and he's gonna have I think he's gonna have a big year.
Speaking of backfield, I mean, we've seen DJ back there quite a bit. What about his versatility have you guys been able to unlock?
Well, I think what you got to look at is what he's done in the past throughout his career. He's been at the X, he's been at the Z. He's played a little bit of F receiver in the inside, and he's just some running back stuff. So we just want to continue to unlock that box and open up even more for him to be able to do it. So as you see that out there, like it's just him being able to understand the offense, another guy who's smart, can understand the plays and understand the purpose of that play. If he's at the running back, or if he's at the X, or if it's at the Z, and even some of those plays he gets at the F receiver. So as long as he continue to understand it, which we believe he will, he'll have a much bigger role and continue to be that diverse guy for us.
It seems like every single practice we've seen 14 catch a lot of passes, be very involved. What has he shown you, and how big of a part of this is he?
So OZ is the F receiver in this offense. I mean, it's a big deal because you actually do a lot as it relates to blocking and as it relates to running certain routes. Like as the F receiver in the offense, you got to know the full scheme. You got to know the X, you got to know the Z, you got to know what's going on in the backfield. So for him, again, much like the other guys, but for him, like he has to know everything that's going on in the intricate part, the inside of it, as it relates to the blitzes, the nickel. Like it's a lot that goes into that, being an F receiver. So that's why you see it showing up on him a lot, because he has understood it. And so he's getting in the spot where he needs to be all the time, and he's being able to make those big plays. And I believe he'll continue to do that as well.
Being an assistant head coach title, what does that mean for you more than coaching just the wide receivers?
Well, you got to more focus on the team versus just your position or your group, and that's the thing that I've been enjoying, like really understanding and getting to know the full capacity of it, like special teams going on, defense going on, like all those things going on. Because something ever go down with Ben, then that's when I would step up in a more clear role. But my role now is, hey, I'm assistant head coach and I'm the wide receiver coach. And those things, when they do pop up, I just got to be ready to roll. And however I can assist my head coach, that's what I want to do. That's really the biggest thing.
So I'm glad I was able to get questions in with Antwaan, because I want to know, like, what was his experience about earning trust? And, it came from Tommy Maddox, the former Pittsburgh Steeler quarterback. If the quarterback don't trust you, you're not getting the ball.
I was really surprised to hear the name Tommy Maddox, and that's how Randle L had to earn trust, is through Tommy Maddox, because he wasn't he's not going to fall into the Hall of Fame category of Pittsburgh Steeler quarterback, but it's still learning trust from your teammates. And whether you're a receiver that has to understand his hot read, or you're an offensive lineman and a running back that needs to know their blitz pickup responsibility, whether it's a tight end knowing who he's going to block when he's in motion and his exact landmark of where he's got to be able to engage and escort that rusher around the quarterback. So every player, every position has that trust that's going to pop up in the course of their football life. And do they understand and satisfy the trust, or is it something they need to be coached on and never have it happen again?
Good news, Chicago. United Airlines is getting brand new planes with all the bells and whistles, like Bluetooth connectivity, screens at every seat, and room for everyone's roller bag. United, proud to fly the Chicago Bears, and you too. We're talking about Ben Johnson. Everybody's talking about him in the same vein, but DJ Moore this week really emphasized what you're dealing with here as a player with first-time head coach Ben Johnson.
That we're going in the right direction. Y'all might see some of the mishaps that happen. We just get them coached up. You can't do bad things twice, and we try to not do that.
DJ, what do you like about how detailed Ben is as a coach?
What do I like about it? It's going to get us where we want to go. What's hard about it is that you really got to be in your playbook and know every last detail of that playbook, because like he do, if not, you're going to get either the evil eye or you're just gonna get yelled at to get in the right spot. So I try to stay away from that.
You've had a few months around Ben. What has left an impression on you about his ability to create, I guess, belief in his vision of what he wants to take this?
Just how he doesn't waver from what he believes in, the offense that he's installed, and how he's going to call the game. I mean, he hasn't diverted from it yet, so I don't think he will, and I think he's just being himself.
What is it about him that you trust?
Just the way his attitude is. I mean, he can get mad and then start smiling at the same time is kind of creepy, but I mean, you know he's serious, but at the same time, you don't know when he's joking, so you just got to take everything he says serious and go from there.
How direct and blunt is the feedback that he gives you?
Real blunt. And, sometimes it's like you got to be a man about it, and you can't just tuck your tail. You just got to take the coaching.
That was the most descriptive version. Is everybody saying, he holds you accountable, he raises his voice at you, da-da-da, but that was quintessential Ben Johnson, described by DJ Moore. Would you agree?
Oh, yes. And from DJ Moore, from one of the alpha characters on this football team, and he's proven in his toughness on the field, and he's proven in the way he goes out and makes difficult catches and pops back up to his feet. So if he has those types of feelings about the requirements of a Ben Johnson, where he can yell at you and laugh all in the same sentence, there's maybe nobody I'd rather hear it from more than a guy like DJ. So I'm glad you had that interview and that response from DJ.
And I'll tell you another thing, Dennis Allen's the same way. Let's not kid ourselves. He is hyper intensive on the field. I was standing right by him today, and he is barking, observing, and there's coaching. It is not just like friendly banter. There is some serious coaching going on.
But he's super unforgiving. He's not going to come up there and say, okay, the offense, they're having some, issues and trying to really get this thing all together, running in the perfect direction. So when you go out there and play the Vikings, they look perfect. That's not Dennis Allen. He's getting his defense ready. He's not worried about what the offense is struggling through. He's getting his defense to go out there and play NFL caliber football. And I love that, because I've been a part of those coaching staffs where the head coach, offensive coordinator goes and argues and battles with the defensive coordinator. But you know what that does? It makes everybody better. And so I appreciate what Dennis Allen has done with his group all preseason and training camp.
Tom, you can't sit here and tell me in this league that doesn't always happen, and sometimes you're trying to make your unit look good. Hey, can you take it easy on us a little bit today? I need this guy to gain some confidence. But it's false confidence. You gotta bring it. You can't have this false sense of security. No. If you throw a pass that, you really think it's going to be that open on Sunday at noon? No. Or this guy that's giving you the brother-in-law on the defensive line on a pass rush, you think it's going to be that easy on Sunday against the Minnesota Vikings on Monday night, or the next week against Aiden Hutchinson? And no. So,
today in practice, I watched TJ Edwards make a play, and he avoids the assigned blocker to him, and he comes in, puts pressure, makes a tackle at the line of scrimmage. And then you can just see that intensity in him, because he knows the read he made. He knows it was correct. He got in the path of the ball carrier, made the play. And that's why TJ Edwards is so great, because he's willing to make his team better by playing that hard, and then the results he has in games and what he challenges the offense with.
Are aches, pains, or injuries keeping you on the sidelines? Athletico's movement experts are here to help you turn your setbacks into comebacks and create a personalized game plan for your recovery with no prescription or referral needed. Athletico Physical Therapy is where your comeback story begins. Athletico, proud to be the official physical therapy partner of the Chicago Bears. I want to get into some things regarding the offense, because getting ready for the regular season, just working on some notes and thinking about some things because of Buffalo coming in, and knowing that Buffalo and Detroit, different conferences, they were powerhouse offenses. And I think you and I discussed this, or maybe we didn't, but for the purposes of this, 4 teams scored 500 or more points last year in the NFL. Only 2 put up 500 points of pure offensive scoring. No defensive touchdowns, no pick returns, no kickoff returns, nothing like that. The 2 teams were Detroit and Buffalo. Ben Johnson's Lions averaged 24.1 first downs a game. Okay? They had the most red zone drives in the NFL and the most red zone points. They had 29 rushing touchdowns. That's second in the league. They were number 2 in time of possession. Now, again, this is not meaning we're just putting in like in the old days where you put the paper in, you wind up the hitch, and you just keep printing like a printing press. It's not going to be the same offense, but the concepts, they'll be very similar. That math is significant. His run-pass ratio, 47.8% run. That was 7th most in the NFL, Tom. And 52.2 passing, which was 26th in the league. I dare say, if you were to ask a fan walking around, hey, is Ben throw the ball a lot more than he runs it? They'd say, oh, for sure. He's creative. He's got all these plays. This guy's smash mouth first, Tommy. He wants to run the football. 48% rush, 52% pass. It's about 50-50. And guess what? The Buffalo Bills were the same way. So you can do it. You can run. The kid that just got extended, James Cook, had 16 rushing touchdowns, and he got paid. He don't carry the ball that much per week, but he scores touchdowns. Montgomery and Gibbs score touchdowns. So if the Bears can do that, and maybe this will take pressure off Caleb Williams as he gets his feet under him in this system, as you said, in year 1. Not his rookie year, but a rookie look at a new system. This is what I'm thinking, that this the Bears team, let's not fall asleep on the fact they are going to run the ball.
Listen, just give me first downs. And when you talk about first downs, it can be done by running the ball. And when you look at 24 first downs per game on average, first downs lead to touchdowns. First downs lead to getting into the red zone, to have the most red zone opportunities during the course of a season because you're getting first downs. So, you know me, I've always harped about the fact of whatever you average a certain amount of yards in your per rush, and then it helps you, not be required of offensive line unrealistic time in their protection and unrealistic routes of length. Now you can have an organized plan for your team to get those first downs and get touchdowns. And that's why I think Ben in his interview, they asked him about, well, I don't know if we're inside zone, outside zone. I don't know if we're gapped with this, because remember a couple of weeks ago, then Ben says, I'm going to organize my game plan to the opponent that 100%. We're playing this week.
Yeah.
So they can be 50-50 at the end of the year, but they could open up 70-30 week 1 or 60-40 or something. So this is a stat that maybe we'll revisit at the end of the year or at the midway point, not even at the bye week. That's only after week 5. So everything that Ben has talked about since he's been here, it's all coming true, but then the reality of it all is going to come, the proof is going to come once they start the regular season.
Hey, Bears fans, Steinhoffels is a proud partner of the Chicago Bears, now open in Orland Park. Steinhoffels is Chicagoland's furniture and mattress leader with the largest selection to fit every style and budget, and is 100% employee-owned. Shop in store and online at steinhoffels.com. One more thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about DeAndre Swift. And it's fresh in my mind because I was doing so much on the James Cook situation. He's now the 6th highest, on annual average, 6th highest paid running back in the National Football League. Saquon number 1 at $20 million, and largely because he's scoring touchdowns. He's valuable in that regard, and also catches the ball very well and scored touchdowns doing that as well. So running backs I saw this stat, running backs with yards per touch among the 16 running backs that had over 2,500 plus yards from scrimmage, so that's run and pass, over the last 2 seasons combined. This is what they got per touch. The number 1 guy in the league, Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs, 6 yards a play over the last 2 seasons. Ben Johnson calling his plays. Cook was second at 5.5. Joe Brady, prominent offensive mind in this league, got the most out of Josh Allen, has that team a Super Bowl contender. Derrick Henry, 5.4 in Baltimore with a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, and in Tennessee the year before. So, yes, we expect that from Henry. And then it's Saquon, and then it's Bijan Robinson, each at 5.3, which leads me to Swift. His last 2 years, he's at 2,608 yards from scrimmage, so that fits in this category of the 16 running backs in the league with that. On 563 touches, he's at 463. His career average, though, yards per play with Philadelphia and Detroit included, is 5.1 in that category, which is exactly the same as Saquon's in his career. So are we not putting enough emphasis on what he could become here in 2025? Because our eyes are all about Caleb. They're about DJ and Rome and the 2 tight ends and the 12 personnel and the addition of Luther Burden and Rome Odunze. I think DeAndre Swift could have a very big year if all of this math is meshing and if you're buying any of what I'm selling here.
Well, this could be the perfect case scenario for DeAndre Swift. You look where he was in Detroit before things really got turned around. Then he went to Philadelphia and they brought in Saquon Barkley. Then he's come to Chicago and he was behind a little bit of dysfunction in terms of the offense goes. So now this could be the perfect recipe for DeAndre Swift, where he's with the perfect play calling head coach. He's got explosive playmakers around him at receivers and tight ends, and you get an offensive line that can gel together. Look, the Bears had 22 first downs in their first game against the Miami Dolphins, and they finished in a tie. So if they would have went to overtime, obviously it would probably went over that 24 benchmark. But
there were some drop they were some drop passes away. Probably getting about 5 more first downs.
Right, of course. But, they finished the game with 22, and you brought up the 24 benchmark. So, let's see where they're at this week against Buffalo and how the practices go. And, let's see if this is another step towards the being prepared for the regular season.
Yeah, and I got to underscore the passing component of that because of the yards after catch that he says this offense will have. Swift can get a lot of that. I mean, that's a big part. He's a good pass catcher. And if the screen game gets cracking, look out. So, I don't know, man. Just like when Montgomery was here, you felt he should have gotten many more passes and do the same thing.
Yep.
And he was hard to bring down. And Swift is fast. How do you tell a cashier you're a Bears fan without telling me you're a Bears fan? With the Chicago Bears PNC Bank Visa debit card, which gets you exclusive discounts on Bears merchandise. Find out more at pnc.com/BearsCard. Tom, what are your expectations for Buffalo when they get in here on Friday? And then now knowing that the starters are going to play on both sides of the ball on Sunday night.
Sean McDermott, the head coach of the Buffalo Bills, is a no-nonsense guy. So they're not going to come in here and play down to a level and try to brother-in-law these practices. I think it's going to be a real physical approach to practices. They start at 10:30 a.m. on Friday and don't play until Sunday night. So I believe both of these head coaches are going to exhaust their team, whether it's first-team reps or the guys that are fighting for a backup opportunity trying to impress the coaches. So I have high expectations. And listen, man, you're bringing in one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, a big, bad, strong animal. And so when your defense and Dennis Allen is getting ready to play against Josh Allen, you can really do a lot to make things uncomfortable for him and prove a lot to yourself. And so those are the types of things that I look for. And I look for the offensive process to be more efficiently run at the line of scrimmage.
I'm also intrigued, too, because they bring, unlike Miami with all the injuries, we talked about they had 5 undrafted free agent tight ends on the roster in their careers. They're not star players, but these guys are bringing in 2 tight ends that are very good, Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox, and they are used in a variety of different ways. Kincaid got most of the second and third down snaps last season, so they tend to kind of pass with him and run with Knox, but he's also an excellent pass catcher. I think that'll be a great test for the secondary, the safeties and the linebacker level for sure.
Just like it will be with Colston Loveland,
Yeah.
Jeff. Don't forget about our
Well,
guy.
no,
because
I know.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, every single snap that Colston Loveland gets against an opponent, he's going to improve. He's going to get better. He's going to get more comfortable. The offense is going to get a better understanding of how they can use him. And then you combine him with Cole Kmet. It just gives you a lot of weapons at the line of scrimmage, whether you're in a 3-point stance next to a tackle or you're stretched out a little bit in the slot. So we got a couple of tight ends that, on maybe a Buffalo radio show, they're talking about those guys as well.
Yes, exactly. Speaking of our radio show on Thursday night on ESPN 1000 and the Bears Radio Network, we'll have an interview with Austin Booker. Let's see if he can keep putting on the good tape, Tommy, because as he was described by head coach Ben Johnson, he was a menace against the Miami Dolphins.
But the thing that I enjoy most about Austin Booker in that game, he was equally as impressive against the run as he was the sacks he got. And sometimes you don't pay attention to making these big run plays because you're so excited about sacks. And there's a lot of defensive coordinators that go out there and say, listen, son, if you don't play the run, you will never get a chance to rush the passer.
Tom, you know football. If there's anything that you know football. So
it's the same thing Buddy Ryan said to Richard Dent. Richard Dent now is in the Hall of Fame with the Super Bowl MVP under his belt.
Tom, the popular phrase, you got to earn the right to rush the passer.
Amen.
By stopping the run. When you choose a Blue Moon, everything becomes brighter, just like the scoreboard after a Bears touchdown. Blue Moon, made brighter and a proud partner of the Chicago Bears. That's going to wrap us up. Join us on Sunday night as well. 7 o'clock kickoff on ESPN 1000 of the Bears Radio Network for the Bears and the Buffalo Bills. Then a short week and a quick trip to Kansas City. And preseason, just like that, the games anyway, will be in the rearview mirror and on to Minnesota and get ready for the Vikings. Lots to discuss every single week here on the Bears Etc. podcast. Appreciate you joining us. For my partner, Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak. Thanks for listening, everyone. Please subscribe now on the Chicago Bears official app, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Bear down, everybody.